It's a sure thing. Change, change. Expect a miracle change. Watch me change when you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Now do 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 change. Do 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 change. Do 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 change. Do do do.
That just puts me in the mood, that song. I love it.
Me too.
Welcome. Yeah, just like bopping around back there. It's just beautiful. So welcome to the Spirit Cafe show from wherever you are, wherever you're watching from today, whether it's morning, night, or noon, whether it's live or on YouTube. Welcome to this show. Today we have a wonderful show for you. But before we begin, let me introduce you to my wonderful co-host,
Barbara,
and
and
I'm
my wonderful co-host.
Cheryl.
And we're going to begin with our land acknowledgement. And we acknowledge that we work, live, and play on the historical and traditional territory of many First Nations. And as we gather on Turtle Island, we as settlers are grateful for the opportunity to meet here. And we thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. This includes the Métis, Inuit, and all other Indigenous people. We're also acknowledging that as we continue to grow and expand on these lands, there is still unresolved and dangerous inequality and discrimination toward our BIPOC and 2S LGBTQ plus family. And by making these acknowledgements, we strive to be allies and take an active part in reconciliation.
Yes,
We recognize our oneness, we realize our history, and we choose consciously to create a new reality. We are one.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if any of you noticed, but we are so excited about today's show. We're talking over each other almost in the beginning because of the excitement that we have. We're bringing Summer Osborne to you, who is an award-winning American singer-songwriter, TEDx speaker, artist activist, motivational speaker, and spiritual collaborator who entertains audiences throughout North America with a fusion of music, spoken word, and humor. Mm-hmm. And I have to tell you that since I met Summer a year ago at the Unity Convention in Kansas City, oh my goodness, I have to share that she's one of those other people that I've just grown to love so dearly. So welcome, Summer. And we're going to show you a short clip about who Summer is.
Change is happening, whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not, whether or not you approve. One of two things will happen. You'll either walk with it mindfully or you will be dragged. Our control in the way this whole thing goes lies in our power of choice. Will you be a light or will you be a vacuum? It seems to me, with everything available to us at a moment's notice in mass quantities, you're looking for more. The whole world is waking up asking, what is my purpose? So I invite you to come feel the Summer Osborne experience.
Woo!
Just love that
girl.
Absolutely. So first of all, that's the title of our show today, is Living Out Loud and Authentically, which is exactly what we have experienced you, Summer, to be. And that video shows just a little bit of that. Now, we were laughing before the show that was then, this is now. You were saying that was a little while ago. And we've been talking about change for many, many years, right? And I really think that it's speeding up. And
Most definitely.
show. Can you show your tattoos right now? Because I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that is actually what it's about.
Well, let's see.
There you
That's
go.
spiritual
It's a
revolution.
revolution.
I think that's what it's about. That speaks to what's going on right now perfectly. So what I wanted to ask you is, first of all, how do you feel about change right now
Oh,
compared to then? And then I want you to, no, I would love you. Don't. This is about courageous conversations.
this is like, look, we could talk forever on this.
Absolutely. And most importantly, what is on your heart right here, right now, today, that takes courage, do you think, to talk about?
I have exactly it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm going to tell you, it started where everything, well, no, rapid change for me started probably during the pandemic, in the lockdown, because global pandemic and lockdown, we all went through a lot. We probably don't even know the trauma we experienced. We won't know, for a while, and then one day they'll be like, oh, we're going to have, this is lockdown syndrome, whatever. So that started there, but I had a big turn from me internally, and it started at the Unity Conference, because look, I am an artist activist. I'm a lesbian, but I am a staunch activist for all the fringe of society. So people of color, indigenous people, people with disabilities, mental health, where people are not, the fringes of society we're still fighting for. Women. So I didn't realize that I had this, I'm going to call it a bias against those who are not considered on the fringe. So we're going to say cisgendered, white, male, heteronormative male. And I had this basic idea of how it would go anytime I, step into that arena. So we go to the conference and we meet James, who's on the tech team, and he was with us the entire weekend. He helped me carry my gear from ballroom 1 to the other room, to the meeting room, to the back, because I was playing in different places at the conference. And if I was sitting at the table, he'd cut, and he had a minute, we'd sit and talk. He and my partner and I became really good friends. We just loved James. And the last day, Thursday, as we were leaving, he sees us. I have all my equipment on the rolly cart, and he rolls the cart out. We're standing at the car. We're trading information. I don't know what the conversation was that led to the point where I said, well, it's not like we're Trump supporters. And James goes, well, actually. And I said, what? Like my head just turned a quarter turn. And I was silent. I was like, my mind is blowing right now. And I don't even know what to do with what's happening inside of me right now. Like I was very aware. Yeah. That I immediately was like, what? No. No, that's impossible. That's impossible. That's impossible. No, you're not. You're screwing with me right now. Like, James. No. And he gave us a couple examples of why that I, of course, personally do not agree with. I'm like, but I just listened. Yeah. I don't know that I've ever even been I haven't been in such a situation where I had to really challenge myself on what does this mean?
Mm-hmm.
What does this mean? Then, I was like, okay, you just blew my mind, and I love you, and you're a Trump supporter. I don't know how to deal with that. I'm going to hug you and love you. We're going to keep in touch. And if you are okay with it, I was like, when I process this and I get language to it, I would like to write about it, and I'll let you read it first, and he was like, absolutely, please. And I still left there loving James just as much as I did. The only thing that changed was my awareness.
Wow.
He was a Trump supporter the entire time we were hugging it out and being BFFs. The only thing that changed was my awareness of that.
Yeah.
So we home, and because it just gets weirder, okay? We drove home, and the next day we had I had a friend. We had friends coming into town from Nashville. She's a Nashville singer. We are going to be working together. She wants to use "This Is Your Call," and it's exciting to me because I'm like, I've been doing this song for 10 years, and I'm doing all I can with it. But it is a song I think that needs to be on a more with a wider audience and on a bigger platform. And I've done all that I can do up to this point. And she is the cute little blonde-haired country singer. That's been a block for me in mainstream media. And I'm not upset about it. I mean, I get it. It's whatever. It is what it is. I do what I do, and I do not compromise who I am or what I look like or what, what I believe in or stand for. So that's non-negotiable. So I've been approached by industry people. So I'm like, yeah, I will be the writer. I will get the royalties. I will be the songwriter, and you will perform it. And that is fine. That is good with me. So she's coming into town, and she brings her husband, and we have the most amazing weekend. And I mention again,
oh dear,
I met this guy, James, and we loved him, and he was a Trump supporter. And they go, well, actually. And I was like, yo, okay. Oh, this is a lesson.
Have you ever heard the phrase, what you resist persists?
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
It never occurred to me, or I just assumed that people who interact with me like this must not be, at the very least, Trump supporters.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's not a thing. I was wrong. Because then our oldest daughter's boyfriend, his name is Landon, Avery and Landon, they're just precious. She's 14. They're both on the spectrum. And they are precious. And I'm fairly certain they will be together forever. Yeah. And we're good friends with his family who live in town where I live, my hometown. And we hang out with them all the time. And we do barbecues. And it was never a thought about where they stand politically, because I don't like to think about it. Because most of Vandalia, my hometown, it's a very southern Illinois town. So anything south of Chicago is red. Okay? Yeah. Chicago is blue, but everything else is red. Yeah. I realized as I'm thinking about this, because I met James and my friends from Nashville, and I said, oh my God, I bet they are. Now I'm considering it, right? I've been hanging out with them for the last year because they've been dating for a year.
Yeah.
We've been doing family stuff together. They come to I think they've helped us out immeasurably, and vice versa. We it's the small town thing where, they probably have different thoughts and beliefs as you, but if you needed them, they would come to help.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they are too.
Wow.
What is happening? I'm like, what is this even? Like this is a lesson. Universe is asking me or spirit or whatever is asking me to change.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it rocks my entire foundation on some level. So as I realized, oh my gosh, I've been out here for the last 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
you know, fighting the good fight for me, for my family, for my people. And honestly, in a way that makes everyone else wrong in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I would have been conscious to that. I don't think I would have said, no, I have said, there's no way. I would have never, ever, not be, you know, my Nashville friends, they're sitting in my house for the whole entire weekend. And I'm like, it's not that they're Trump supporters and I don't allow them in my house.
Yeah.
It's that I would never have expected someone that is a Trump supporter, this idea in my head,
Yeah.
of who they are and what they stand for, you know, that they would want to be in my home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it just wouldn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was freaking wrong.
Yeah.
It's
And the
that
thing
idea
is they
of
speak our language. We're speaking the same language.
language.
We stand for the same stuff.
Yeah.
We're sitting there talking, and as that happens, we were like, oh, and they're like, do you want us to leave? And we're like, no, we don't.
Yeah.
This is a lesson. I explained that we met James, and now this. I'm like, this is the universe telling me. I'm like, but as we were talking, Robert, her husband, said, you know, I am wondering if you're seeing the things that we see, and if we're seeing the things that you see.
Wow.
On media. We came to that, and we were like, that is a bullseye.
Yeah.
Because what you're speaking of sounds absolutely, utterly ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
I've never heard that. I've never seen that. And I want to say, my ego is saying, wait, what language can I use here? Like, it was like, freaking prove it. You know, my ego is like, oh yeah, prove it. You know, and but I'm just listening. And the things we were saying, he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, wow. So then there's the media on top of that. And I was like, guys, I don't know what this means. And I don't know how it unfolds. I don't feel like I'm supposed to convert you. I have zero desire to do that.
Yeah.
I'm just supposed to listen. And look, I still haven't processed it. I still don't have language for it. I can't tell you where this is going to go. I can't. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting that you talk about that, because it's a little bit like saying, you know, all women are bad drivers, or, you know, all men are this. So in other words, all Trump supporters are this.
Yes.
And it's like reframing that. And the spiritual revolution is, how do I come to terms with the diversity of life itself, with all its differences, and still have the capacity to love?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
It rocked my world.
Well, you know what I love about you, Summer, is the awareness that you have.
Yes.
The awareness, the way you go to with that, right? So many people might not go to where you go to, with curiosity, with questioning, you know, with standing in your truth and still being able to love others, right? We always other people. And when we other people, we separate them from ourselves. We separate them from who we are. And you didn't do that, which I just so admire and just think is such a wonderful example of how to be and how to think, that's how change happens.
Yes.
Right.
Right? When we become, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to say that that's just something I think that's always been intrinsic in me. It has gotten me into a lot of trouble sometimes, really uncomfortable situations. But I was the kid with all the why questions. I was the kid that got on people's nerves. Like, and in Sunday school, it was the worst because I was raised Southern Baptist. There's really not a whole lot else around here. But generations of Southern Baptists in this church that actually, if I look out my door, I can see it right down the road. It's right there. And so our Sunday school teachers they didn't go to seminary. They didn't take classes in theology. They're volunteers. They're like the cafeteria lady at the elementary school and, the nurse at the health department, and literally. So when I was like in the elementary ages, I remember Eileen Pearson, who was a teacher, going to my mom, who was also a teacher, saying, "You've got to tell Summer to stop asking so many questions." And my mom said, "I will not."
Good for your mom.
And she's like, I can't do that. Do your best to answer them. We deal with it every day, Eileen. It was that. And then when I was in high school, the questions just got deeper. And my Sunday school teacher quit, and they made the preacher be the Sunday school teacher of my class because they couldn't handle my questions. It never occurred to me at the time that I was being a butthead. Like they felt I was being a butthead. It was there. I look back now at the conversations my parents had. I'm looking at them going, it never occurred to me that I was a problem for that. Yeah. I had lots of other things in my head as a teenager and young adult and everything that I was a problem for a lot of things, but that was never one of them.
And that's great.
Because I had this insatiable need for accurate information. Yeah. I don't have to be right. I never felt like that's a lie. That's a lie. Because I'm also a Leo. Okay. And prior to my first spiritual awakening, I was your stereotypical Leo. So I was educated, well-spoken, well-read. I had data and statistics on everything. I could debate any man on what the Bible really says about homosexuality or the bureaucracy of urban education or any of that. Like I had my poop in a group. Okay. I knew what was up. And then my mom got sick. She was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. And that didn't make sense to me. I knew all the data and the statistics didn't freaking make sense to me. And then she died. And I was like, nope. This world no longer makes sense to me. I spent a year in a really deep depression, and then I had a spiritual awakening. Somehow, I was laying in my bed. Somehow, I ended up with a book in my lap, Conversations with God, by Neil Donald Walsh. Yeah. And first of all, it saved my life because I was just waiting to die. My muscles had atrophied. I didn't work. I didn't see anybody. Like it was a year of just waiting I didn't have the energy to do anything to myself. I just knew that eventually I would fall asleep and I just wouldn't wake up because I just wanted to be wherever she was. But that book, I couldn't even tell you what was in the book that was like the trigger or what, I don't know. I just remember sitting on my floor in between the bathroom and the closet, just crying and laughing, going, I know nothing. I know nothing. Yeah. I know nothing. Like it was the most relieving because prior to that, I felt like I had to know everything so I could protect myself and, and I had to know things. That was my power.
You were armoring up.
Yes.
Right.
And I realized then that I actually don't know. And I know nothing. I know nothing.
That's a
nobody
great
does really.
Yeah.
Entirely. You know, and it was the most relieving, liberating thought because I'm like, well, if I know nothing, then technically everything is possible. Anything is possible.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I had that spiritual awakening and the questions just became deeper and more expansive, but in a really exciting way. So I'm also like life path number 7. I'm ENFJ and all these things that because I also want to understand myself. So I have all these human design and all that stuff and everything, numerology, everything points to scientist, intellect. So I have all these questions.
Right.
And I don't have to be right. I really don't have to be right anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I just want accurate information.
Yeah.
Now I think I'm moving into a place where it's accurate information for me.
Yes.
And accurate in the moment.
Yes. Because I also know I have a show, a Spiritual Revolution show, and I want to make it clear in my show that, like, wait, where was I going with that? Like, my train of thought derails so gracefully. I'm also ADD.
Love it.
We were talking about accurate,
what were we talking about? Because now
information and accurate in the moment.
Yes. Oh, because truth is so subjective.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, good and bad and right and wrong are words made up by people that we attach qualities to. Yeah. And these qualities change over time and space, from generation to generation and from culture to culture. Yeah. You know, truth is pretty fluid.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what we've never realized before. And it's something that I've noticed, that as I grow, my consciousness expands. And so what I thought I knew, I see differently. It still may be the truth of what I know, but I can see it from different angles. I can see it in a new way. I can see it in a broader perspective, you know. So it's as we grow.
Go ahead. As we grow.
No, as we grow, our truth shifts and changes and grows with us.
Yeah, because when you change the way you look at things,
the things you look at change. On that note, we're going to go to a quick little commercial break, and don't go away, anybody, because this is awesome information. This is a great conversation. You are watching Spirit Cafe Show on the New Thought Media Network, and we'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ricky Byers, and what I want you to know is that on the weekend of July 14th, that's July 14th, 15th, and 16th, I'm going to be blowing up Salt Lake City. This is my debut there. I've never been there before. So Reverend Cindy, look out. We're going to burn it up, baby. God bless. Peace.
Welcome back. You know, that ad actually just made me think, Summer, we got to do an online show with you on New Thought Media Network.
I just wrote Ricky Byers' name down because I tapped for this every time so I know what you're talking about. I want to know because I'm that guy. Like more information. And I was like, I don't know Ricky Byers, but I think I should.
Oh,
so I'm gonna look her up.
Ricky Byers was married to Michael Beckwith. And so she was the music director at Agape Spiritual Center for many, 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 many years. And that song that we heard a little clip of, brilliant. She's got brilliant music. She's just a lovely spirit. And she was here for the Canada Convention for CSL a number of years ago.
Wonderful.
And she's a rock star, that one.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you guys are in Canada.
Yes.
I gotta get up there. I love Canada.
Yes,
you do.
And Canada loves me.
Absolutely, we do.
From the first time I ever stepped foot, and look, the first time I went to Canada, I drove from St. Louis to Halifax.
Oh, wow.
In a car. Okay, but the moment we crossed over in Calais, Maine, I believe. And the moment we crossed over, I was like, oh, we're in a new country. It was the first time I'd been out of the country. Okay. And I was like, I did Halifax Pride. And then I did Vancouver Pride. And then I did something in the middle. And I can't remember where, Port something. It was a music venue in Port. I don't remember. But
maybe.
But every time I go, because a lot of times I do, I do Unity churches and also Pride Fest. We'd go to Pride Fest in Canada, and people would come up to me and be like, "So, how do you like Canada?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, I love this place." And they're like, "I know, right? We just love our country." Da, 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 da. And I looked at my partner at the time. I was like, "Did you just hear that? Like, you would never walk into any Pride Fest in the States and hear Americans at Pride Fest say, we just love our country. Don't you? Are you having a good time? You know, like that wouldn't happen."
Yeah.
So I was like, I love Canada.
Well, you are welcome here anytime.
You and your partner,
I've often thought about moving there.
We'd love to
have closer
you.
and closer to refugee status here.
Yes, my God. Unfortunately,
not
that's not a joke. I know. Absolutely. Unfortunately.
That's
travel warnings for LGBTQ people here.
Yeah. You can't go to Florida.
A state of emergency was issued. I think it's been a couple of weeks ago. A state of emergency issued for LGBT folks in the U.S. I'm just like, I'm looking at my watch going, what time do we need to start packing?
Yeah.
We got 5 kids here.
Yeah. 5 kids. Wow.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. Tell us about
Let me tell you about that, because that's a whole nother change too. I'm a 45-year-old lesbian that wasn't going to have kids, didn't want kids. But then I ended up falling in love with a woman that I was always in love with. We were together 20 years ago. 20 years ago, we were together. We got a cat. We bought a house. We were engaged. And then my mom got sick. and I went 9
Strange.
ways crazy from Sunday,
Mhm.
and I bailed. I ran. I bailed, and admittedly, probably one of my biggest mistakes, except for
Mhm.
what I had to
Experience.
get through for 20, like and so 20, at the time, my dream was to be a rock star, like we were together when I taught myself the guitar. We were together on my very first CD release.
Mhm.
The first love song I ever wrote was for her, you know. But I was teaching at the time, teaching special education,
Mhm.
and she was a tech in the Well Baby Nursery. But my dream was to be a rock star, and
Mhm.
her dream was to be a NICU nurse and a mother.
Mhm.
And we had plans to have a family, but I had my first CD release, and I knew, like, this isn't the way. This was the discussion we had. It was never grounds for, termination of the relationship, but
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
a conversation we had about having a family, where I was like, I don't know how we're going to do that, because I know that if I do music, I'm going to be on the road.
Mhm.
And if I have a family, then I can't do that, because I just internally, I can't, I don't want to be that kind of parent,
Mhm.
not there.
Yeah.
I was teaching in like more urban area, and kids with mental health diagnosis, basically. And so I had the students, the parents didn't give a shit,
Mm.
didn't give a crap.
Okay.
Sorry.
Hey, we have a show on here called Ministers Talking Shit. So,
Oh my gosh, I love that, because I tell people all the time, like, spiritual people say the F word all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
There's nothing
anyway,
that can express what that one does.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's I don't use it a lot, because
Yeah.
then you just look ignorant.
Yeah.
You use it well,
exactly.
So what was I talking about? I did it again.
You
No,
were
that's
talking
okay.
about your kids and
Oh, kids, right.
yeah.
So my mom got sick. I was 9 ways crazy from Sunday, and I bailed. And proceeded the next 20 years of just nothing but tumultuous relationships. Which is something I had to,
Mhm.
part of it was necessary.
Necessity.
Always, also. So I
Right.
do know that. But fast forward 20 years, and that at that point I was like, kids are a deal breaker.
Mm.
Yeah.
If you're not grown and out of the house, or you have kids, like, I'm not gonna play in that
Mm.
dating pool.
Mhm.
Because because then all I had after, my mom died, and the year after that, when I decided to just jump in head first and just do music, I only had to worry about me.
Mhm.
I didn't have to say no to anything having to do with my career ever,
Right.
because my mom was gone. I
Mhm.
didn't have any kids. There was nothing me holding me in one spot.
Mhm.
And so fast forward 20 years, and it just so happens that Stephanie, that's my partner now. And I knew that, I mean, she had married another girl she eventually married another girl from my hometown.
Mhm.
Because contrary to popular belief, even though it is a red town, we're cranking out the homos like there's no tomorrow. We could have our own Pride Fest. We just don't, because we don't talk about it. We all know lesbians
Mhm.
everywhere.
Mhm.
Everywhere.
I read a sign a while ago that said, if you have so much trouble with gay people, why do you keep having gay babies?
Why are you having gay babies? I don't mind the straighties, because if there were no straighties, there'd be no homos. That's what it used to be. I used to say that on the show. It's not that way anymore. But anyway, so here we are. We run back into each other. The thing is that we both lived in Vandalia for a year and a half, didn't even know the other lived here.
Wow.
Wow.
And so she had to go through whatever she was going through. I had to go whatever I was going through, where we were, the timing was right then all of a sudden. And she saw my dad and my sister at Walmart, and my sister, because my family loved Stephanie. My mother, Stephanie knew my mom and my grandmother and my whole family. Like, they loved her. They were ready, loved her more than me. So my sister does not pass go, does not collect $200, comes directly to my front door and was like, guess who we saw at Walmart? I was like, who? She's like, Stephanie. And I'm like, what's she doing at Vandalia Walmart? And she was like, her and Brooke got a divorce, and they're, and I was like, what? I don't know. I was like, this is sounding weird. So I just reached out to her, because we hadn't spoken to each other in 20 years, because at the time, our respective partners would not allow us.
Wow.
I couldn't speak her name.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk about the past.
They were jealous. Yeah.
Yeah. And same for Stephanie. So I just reached out to her and was like, hey, you want to get coffee sometime? I heard you were in town, and that sucks for you. I'm sorry about that. So we just met for coffee, and it was just immediately, we were just like, oh,
I remember.
This is where I'm supposed to be. And I knew it. And here we are, where I'm a rock star. She's a NICU nurse and a mom.
Wow.
And we were just last night, I was like, I'm just so glad we're us. There is nowhere else I'd rather be. And I don't think I've ever experienced that fully, wholly, where I feel like I don't have to do anything outside of just who I am to feel like you will stay.
How beautiful is that?
And, like, we fart in front of each other now. Like, it's just so, and at the same time, she's just so precious to me. Like, I look at her face, and she just was like, I call her my baby otter. Because have you seen that picture of the baby otter with the big eyes? And just every time I see it, my heart explodes. That's what happens every time I look at her face, So it's just pure, real love that I have. It's not infatuation. It's not, I got to do all these things to make her love me. It's just, I love you, and that's it. But she comes with these 5 kids, right? So I had to be really, really consciously, I told at the beginning, when we were like, oh crap, here we go. Like, we know what this is. I said, well, we can start out slow, because this was not on my bingo card. And I didn't want kids, and you got 5. Like, that's not just like a couple kids. That's 5. And so I was like, at first, we'll just, she had a house in town in Vandalia, and I have my own house in Vandalia. And so I was like, at first we'll just, when you have the kids, you be at your house with your kids. I can visit here and there, but I'll be doing work at my house or traveling or whatever.
Yeah.
And when you don't, because we have them 7 days on, 7 days off. And when you don't have the kids, then you come just at my house, stay at my house. We'll just start out that way. Well, I'd go to visit, and I just really enjoyed the freaking kids. And and I was like, okay, well, I'll just be Aunt Sum, like I am for my nieces and nephews. I can hold that position in their life. That doesn't scare me, Okay, we'll try that. But then I saw her write a check for 1 day of childcare.
For 5 kids.
Because she's a NICU nurse in St. Louis, and it's about an hour away, St. Louis Children's Hospital. And so her 12-hour shifts turn into 13, 14, 15. She doesn't even get home. Like, I said, do you pay that every time you go to work? And she was like, oh yeah, childcare for 5 kids is a lot. And it's kind of like they'd come the night before and spend the night, because she had to be out of the house by 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, we're not doing that. We're not doing that anymore. That's dumb. That is the stupidest thing I've ever seen or heard of. Like, I was like, no. And I wasn't traveling as much because this is post-COVID.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I got time. I'll do it. Well, I'll do it.
Mm.
Well, then it was over. Like, and now I'm in it to win it. And I still don't know what I'm doing. I'm only 2 years into this. So I'm like 2 years new mom, but I didn't get to ease into it like the moms did. You know, when you have one and you wait a couple years and you have another one, you wait a couple years and you adopt another one. That's what happened. And then you wait another couple years and you have twins.
Wow.
So we have a 14-year-old, that's the oldest one, all the way down to 7-year-old twins.
Wow.
Nice.
This is the hardest work I have ever done.
Mhm.
And the most rewarding.
Mhm.
Yeah. I tell them all that, and look, they call me, you know, Mama sometimes, or they'll just call me Some or Summer, whatever. But I tell them all the time, I'm like, look, I'm here to guide you, but I don't have this stuff figured out. Nope. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm learning.
Honest parenting. That's
Let's
good.
be on a team. I don't know what's good parenting and what's not. Well, that's not true. I had good parents, you know, that helps. But it also is bringing me up face to face, toe to toe with myself.
Yes.
It is bringing out all the things where I didn't realize I had trauma from my childhood, because I had good parents, but they were also
Human.
boomers. In a very rural area, born and raised in the same area. They just parented like all the parents parented, right? So my dad was not emotionally involved with us. He was the breadwinner. He was the farmer. He was tough and everything. But if anything went wrong, we looked at dad and he would fix it, right? He was but my mom was the more she was the emotionally involved
Nurturer.
one.
Yeah.
And the elementary music teacher, great with kids, you know, but also had trauma from her childhood that carried over into us in a less severe way, but still there. And so it's making me also acknowledge the trauma I experienced as a child, even though my parents were amazing, and that can both simultaneously exist.
Of course,
it's not either or. That's part of the spiritual revolution, is getting rid of this way of thought that's very binary.
Yes.
Nothing is black and white. This world is full spectrum color. It's not even just gray.
And you realize that big time with your friends you love who are Trump supporters.
Exactly. And I have to be, and I have long time believer that I don't have to be right. Like I reserve the right to change my mind always if I come to a new understanding.
Absolutely.
That's not like hypocrisy, and it's not wishy-washy. It's growth.
It's growth.
Exactly.
It's expansion.
Yes.
And so it's not even about right or wrong. It's, I didn't know.
Yes. Or my understanding has shifted.
Expanded. Yeah.
Expanded, shifted, or just gone a little bit.
Yeah.
So
I'm a 45-year-old lesbian with 5 kids and friends that are Trump supporters. Like, what the just when I think I have things nailed down. Nope.
You think you know what's going on in the world? Just wait a second.
Exactly.
But I just love how you navigate it all.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you do.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't always say the same for myself. Like, I screwed up the execution on that one. I do that a lot too.
And
I tell the kids that a lot too. I'm like, I tell the kids all the time, especially the older ones, because I still struggle connecting with the 7-year-olds, because language has to be altered. And I don't mean like bad words and stuff. I mean, to their understanding. And my vocabulary, I haven't taught since, and when I did, it was middle school. So I do better with the older kids, but I tell them all the time, I was like, oh, I screwed up the execution on that.
But that's great.
I apologize. And now they tell me.
Yeah.
Now they tell me, they're like, Cooper will be like, well, I messed up the execution on that one. And I was like, yes, sir, you did. And everything's figure-outable. So let's try again. Like,
What a wonderful teaching moment.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a gazillion teaching moments. And not because of me. Not me, just because I teaching, learning moments, me. And then I just share it with them.
That's great.
They know I will never consciously lie to you. I can't, I don't like it. And not because of you, not because of who you are. That's because of who I am. And so it may not always be easy to hear. And I will do my best, but they know I do my best at giving them accurate, honest answers to whatever it is they're wanting to know. And that is a fine line in my head.
Yeah.
Because we're not just dealing with just life in general. I am not the only parent involved, co-parent involved. They got 4 moms now. Who needs 4 moms?
Well, one messes up, I got another one.
Right. And the other parents have vastly different parenting styles.
Yeah. That must be a challenge for them as well.
You have no idea. Like but we're staying the course. Like we're just,
doing what you can.
Going with it. But it's interesting balance. And we're doing it. I mean, it's not impossible.
Yeah. Well, I think they're very, very lucky to have you. I really do.
I'm very, very lucky to have them.
Well, that's why they're so lucky to have you, is your appreciation, your authenticity, your honesty with them. You clearly love them. It was Deja just posted a saying you said, I didn't come here to fix the world, to fix a broken world. You came here to learn to love yourself. Yeah. And I think that's what you are showing them by how you are learning to love yourself as well as how you treat them.
I hope so. I hope so. Steph and I just had the conversation last night where I was like, because this week we were actually, Stephanie and I we had the kids this past week, and Stephanie and I were both sick, very sick. And so it was bare minimum all week, right? And Cooper's birthday party was that week. We had to postpone it. I had cousins in from Colorado. We were supposed to go fishing with them and stuff like that. We had to scrap that. We felt horrible about that. And it was a hard week for us, but a good week. And we told the kids, we had a little family meeting before we left. We're like, thank you so much for being so cool this week. We know it sucked, but you guys were amazing. And they were. And we left. I was like, God, I just worry so much. Like, I don't worry about my relationship. I've never had a relationship like that, except for Stephanie 20 years ago. I'll say that. But I've never had a relationship where I knew without beyond a shadow of a doubt it's going to last, and I don't have to worry about that. So I don't need to put my worry energy in that. Right. That's great. I'm not even worrying about my career anymore because it's just going to do what it's going to do.
Absolutely.
And I can, but I do worry about the kids all the time, where I'm like, I wonder if what I'm doing now, if anything I'm doing now is causing harm to them that they won't recognize until they're in their late teens.
Of course you are.
In their 20s. Of course, I know. It's like, I know that we are. I know that we are. But
we all are.
My parents didn't think of that ever.
Yeah.
ever. I know they
That's
didn't.
the difference, though.
You're
See?
just
Right.
conscious
That's
of
true.
it.
But
That's
they
the
didn't try. They didn't
Mhm.
try to hurt, they just it just happened. And so I
Mhm.
know it's gonna happen. And I've told the kids that too. I've told Avery and Cooper both, the two ones. I'm like, listen, there will be a come day maybe in your 20s, maybe sooner for you. I don't know. I said, where you're gonna realize that something we did or said hurt you. And I need you to know that I am prepared to have that conversation. So don't you ever feel scared to come to me and be like, you know what, Mama Son, that sucked. And you know what that did? That made me feel like this. And now I operate like this. And I said, and I will sit and I will listen to everything and we will work through it together, because I know I'm screwing this up on some level. There is no way that I'm not screwing this up on some level.
Well, it's because
And
everything
that's
is
okay.
perception. Everything's
You know.
perception, right? The way they
Yeah.
perceive your actions, the way
But
you
they
perceive
process
things.
it with me. And
Of
so
course.
I do feel like, because where trauma becomes a problem is when it's unprocessed.
Exactly.
Then it becomes harmful. Trauma is. It's gonna happen. But it's
Absolutely.
less about what happens and more about what is happening inside you with an external stimulus, right?
Yeah.
If that's not processed, then it turns into trauma,
Mhm.
like held trauma. If it is processed, then it doesn't get stored as trauma.
Exactly.
So
And I hate to say this, but we're coming to the end of our show.
Oh my gosh. Summer, we have to have you back.
Yes,
we've
please.
got 3.5 minutes left. Do you want to play a little bit of something to give people a bit of a taste?
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Gift of yours.
Yeah. Let's.
This is a song. I'm going to sing a song that I didn't get to. I was going to sing at the Unity conference, but I changed my mind because other things were going on. And I thought some other songs would suffice better. So,
so intuitive.
I follow the energy.
That's great.
Oh wait, what am I doing? Got it. I got it. Everyone calm down. Water rolls downhill, seeking its own level, never asking why it cannot defy the gravity. The soil beneath the surface knows the purpose of the rain, the beauty in the balance of Mother Nature's way, moving, changing, growing, always ever knowing it owes nothing to the world, but just to be. The leaves fall when they're supposed to fall. The roots are where the growing begins. Has it ever occurred to you that you are powerful beyond no measure? Has it ever occurred to you that you are beautiful on many levels? Has it ever occurred to you that you are seeking faith outside yourself when all the love you need is, all the love is right where you are? Mm-hmm. The planets and the sun circling in space, using one's own gravity to hold another in its place. I wonder if they know their path is a part of the whole thing. The whole thing. Fall in love with being, fall in love with growing, fall in love with life itself, and you'll know what I mean. You are not alone. No, you are part of everything. Has it ever occurred to you that you are powerful on many levels? Has it ever occurred to you that you are Beautiful on many levels. Has it ever occurred to you that you are seeking faith outside yourself when all the love you need is, all the love is right where you are? Do 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 tweet out. Do 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 do. We're made of light, we're made of power and of pure love. The same atoms and the molecules of stardust. Think about these things and how they're made and how you can trust the rhythm of the universe, the synchrony of love. Expand into the possibilities that you can amplify your purpose in this life and how you're more than qualified to multiply the ways we can change the universe and try to write the story differently, how you were made to unify. It's time to rise. It's time to rise. It's time to rise. Has it ever occurred to you that you are beautiful on many levels? Has it ever occurred to you that you are powerful beyond all measure? Has it ever occurred to you that you are seeking faith outside yourself when all the love you need is, all the love is right where you are? Do 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 yeah.
That is beautiful. And we are out of time. Thank you, Summer, so much. We have to have you back.
Yes, please. Thank you. I really enjoy talking with you guys.
Oh, this was brilliant. This was
Yeah.
brilliant. Thank you. Thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you.
And
No,
I
thank
encourage
you.
anybody to go to Summer's website, to go to her YouTube channel, and just listen to her music. It's just so wonderful. And Summer, we will be in touch, and we definitely
please.
will. And yeah, tell her and let us know when you're coming to Canada.
Oh, you'll be the first to know.
We're going to book you in. We're going to book you in for sure. You're watching Spirit Cafe Show, our wonderful guest, Summer Osborne, and I'm Barbara, and this is my dear sister from another mother, Cheryl, and we will see you again next week on the New Thought Media Network. Like, share, and subscribe.
Bye.